The biggest and ongoing is usually technician staffing, getting qualified technicians to do the types of work and types of jobs they need to do. From my experience, a lot of times when you hire a journeyman technician from another store, there's a reason they're leaving where they currently were. The best thing to do is to grow your own, and that does take time. There must be some sort of plan in place as far as how to grow a technician with a entry-level lube tech position. How are you going to mentor them to the next level? What kind of factory training are you going to do? What steps do you do so that when you're interviewing somebody for this potential job, to show them a career path where they can make it to a journeyman level within a 3 to 5 year time frame. Depends on the manufacturer and what's going on. But I think the biggest one I'm seeing that I'm still hearing from the stores is qualified technicians to do the work. The most effective way for a dealership to build that type of plan is don't build that process or plan in a silo. So get your shop foreman involved, have your service advisors involved. Let's talk about what's expected from a technician in the role, so then you'll know what's necessary and kind of build a career path with that. It's probably good to bring your factory rep into it too, with what the factory's recommendation or expectations are. And so once you have the input from the rest of your team and what's necessary or needed for that position, build the steps, write them out so you know what the steps are. So once you have written steps, you can build specific processes for each step and share that with the candidate that's coming in, saying, you have these online classes you can do. Once you do that, you have a base knowledge of this specific brand or vehicle. With our mentorship and training, doing the oil changes or whatever the express type thing they'll be doing. Ongoing training, technicians have a very scripted, not scripted, but specific one that the manufacturers require. Like before you do electric type diagnosis, you have a basic electronics, things like that. Training is one of the most important things you can do at a dealership, service manager role for his team, period. Technicians do have a path that the manufacturers will usually set up so you can grow and build their skill set as you go. I think one of the biggest overlooked ones is the service advisors. There's very little training the manufacturers give for service advisors, and if there is training for these service advisors to the manufacturer, it is not geared towards normal daily business. It is much more of the manufacturer's agenda. That type of training should come from the service manager. It's something that should be structured, where on a specific day of the week I'm meeting with so-and-so, and they know, they sit down and we go through either role playing or whatever specific challenges that advisor is having. Gear your training towards the issues they're having, and possibly if you have a high-performing service advisor, bring that service advisor in as well so that they can help mentor them as well. I feel that when you bring the team in to discuss growth and training and opportunities, the one that's helping feels good about that. The one receiving the help now has a mentor, and so I think that really helps with employee retention because everyone is working for each other with the same goal. I'll tell a little bit of my life story with that. So I enjoy mechanical things, and so I was interested in becoming a technician early in my career. I did have an opportunity to get a job at a Mercedes store to be a lube technician. I had done that, and they weren't as structured back when I was a technician on a career path. However, what I was able to do was I was in the dealership environment as a technician. It was something I enjoyed doing, and I was open to all the different roles in a dealership. I mean, you do have service advisor, you have parts department, you have service manager, you have sales, you have all these different roles within a dealership. And if being the technician that you started to, if that doesn't resonate with you, there's so many other avenues you can do in a dealership that doesn't necessarily require a college degree. And that's what's wonderful about it. It is something where you can take an interest or passion you have and then build a career around it. And so that's where I've always structured. So again, I started as a technician, went to right service, became a service manager, service director, and I'd done that role for 25 plus years. Having that back experience helped me open my eyes to just because you're this means you can't be that. I don't believe that in a moment. I think that if you put your effort into it, you can certainly achieve wherever you want to go in a dealership world, and it could be sales manager to general manager as well. So this was the career path I chose, and it worked best for me, and I modeled what my experience was for the teammates I work with. I feel it is actually very beneficial to have the younger person who's very savvy with computers and electronic type things. Twofold. One is they're going to bring their experience, even though it may not be automotive, but into the automotive world and make there's a lot of program updates that happen. There's items like that. If you have we'll go back to keep this as a technician one. If you have a technician who's been in the industry 20, 25 years, they're learning this, but it's not as easy for them. However, the older technician can share with the younger one, because there's still very mechanical things that have to be done. There's cylinder heads that have to be removed, transmissions, things like that. But flip side, the younger one can actually help the more experienced technician do some of the downloads, understand some of that technology because they're more fluid with that. So you can actually have the incoming technician or employee help the older, and the older do the same. So I think it's a great time, but in either case, you have to be willing and want to learn. That's the biggest key, is you have to want to learn. Once you build a culture in your service department where people are enjoying each other's company, and it's one that everyone's finding success in the roles, that gets out. That energy gets to a point where people are seeking you out. And so saying it's innovative, it's definitely not quick. It is something that takes a long time to build that type of culture in a store. But you'll hear, if you go to, in the Nissan world, this dealership has a great reputation. It's a fun team. They enjoy working together. People want to be there. They flock to it, as opposed to one that might have more turnover because they don't have the cohesiveness with the team, or some sort of turnover. So I think the bigger one is to have the type of environment where people want to be. I understand the role and the specific items, but you could have the best processes with the best dealership, with the best whichever, but if it's not a fun place to be, you're not going to have that type of environment. I know 100% we can teach the skill set. We can teach a person how to become a technician as long as they want to learn. I can teach a person how to write service, how to interact with a guest. I cannot teach them to be a happy, energetic person. I can't teach them to enjoy being around people. That's what they bring. So when I would interview, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for, do you smile because it's fun to smile, or are you smiling because you're in an interview and your cheeks are sore after the interview? That's what I'm looking for.